The sound is on. Wow. My mic is on. Just sat down in the room. That door slam was probably loud as fuck. Oh yeah, you guys are talking about it. That's good. Bro, I usually leave my mic muted when I'm like super AFK. So you guys have just been listening to mic static and door slamming. Hello. We heard everything? Well, I mean, I don't know what else there was, but all good. Hey, it's been a while. 40 minutes. Bro, it's only been 18 minutes. This is a... You must be new here. All right, guys. So I've been on vacation, which has been cool. We can talk about it, but then we're going to talk about other stuff. But Frank has been out of work because I haven't been here. So we're going to make Frank some money today. So we're going to overreact to every single change so we can make some videos out of it or something like that. We got to figure that shit out. Frank not on a retainer? No, Frank does get paid a flat salary regardless of anything, and then he makes a percentage of what the videos make. So he's not like totally fucked, just kind of fucked. You didn't quit streaming? Bro, I tweeted that I was going on vacay. Although that was the longest time. That was the longest time that I have traveled since I have started streaming. Which is not surprising because I did kind of recently, like within the last 6 months or 8 months, like kind of made a decision that I want to live more life and work less. You know, just the whole like, you know, when you're starting your own business, or if you are in charge of your own like success, like on Twitch, you can stream infinitely, make more money. You know, you need to have some kind of balance. But when you're in the grind era, like I was for like 6 years, you just literally can't do that forever. You'll burn out, or you'll just not be able to live life. So I just took a little step back, which I think is fine. But either way. What's up? I'm gonna go live right now. I just want to warn you guys that my couch is gone. Okay, so. Just letting you know, couch low key, not there. Very empty room at the moment. What happened to it? It just vanished. No, it got moved out like a couple of hours ago. Good. I'd be so scared if you saw the couch was gone. Yeah. You know what I should have done, actually? I should have done this whole stream and never acknowledged the couch one time. That would have maybe been a better bit, but I already fucked that up. So, yeah. So, long story short with that, this isn't going to be a talking point of the stream because I keep this part of my life private, but the girlfriend is moving in. So she has some stuff. I have some stuff to get rid of. Got to make room. She has a better couch, so that couch is going in here. So that's why that couch is gone. Also, the guest bedroom bed, got rid of that shit. It's nice. So girlfriend vibed with the fam. Yeah, we had a great time. So what we did for the trip was we went to Kentucky, which is where I grew up. That's where my parents live. And my sister flew in as well. And we, my like kind of birthday present to my dad and Mother's Day present to my mom was, my dad's loved betting horses in his life. It's just a hobby of his. He's been handicapping horses for a while. And before any of you guys freak out, handicapping horses just means you study the process of betting horses. It does not mean you injure them. It is a strange term, but it is what it is. So my dad has been a horse handicapper for a while. And we live in Louisville, right next to where the Kentucky Derby is. So my Christmas present to them, not Christmas, what the fuck? Mother's Day / birthday, which is like kind of Christmas, low key, was getting them and me, like, too, and my girlfriend and my sister and my cousin, a box at the Kentucky Derby, which was very expensive, by the way. I don't think I'd do it again. I'm glad I did it for the experience, but actually insanely expensive for the value, I think. But it was fun. We had a good time. Won some money, lost some money. Ended up in the plus though, so we're good. And yeah, my girlfriend met my family. It went great. They vibed, got along really well, exchanged contact information. They communicate now regularly. That was a W. And then after that, we went to New York. So I was gone for almost 2 weeks. We went to New York because that's where her family grew up. We just kind of chained the trip. So I went and met her family, but that wasn't like the main reason for the visit. But, you know, we did that. And then also spent some nights in New York City, saw some stuff on Broadway. Went to like the 9/11 memorial. We were going to go do some other stuff. The weather was kind of bad. And then otherwise just kind of hung out. It was really fun. I actually was not sure how I was going to be traveling more than like 4 or 5 days at a time because I just haven't done that in 6 years since I've had this job. And I was like pretty chill the whole time. It was great. So everything good. Everything good. Yeah, all vibes. Yeah. Max, did you see Super People 1 is coming back? Yes, I did, and I'm so excited for it. I hope it actually has the players to support it, but yeah, I will be playing the shit out of that game with my friends. Damn, 175k for box seats. I did not pay 175k. I don't have that much. I don't have an amount of money to just spend that. It was nowhere near that. It was like almost 10 times less than that. Or it's almost 10 times more than what I paid. That is an extremely large, dude. Could you imagine paying $175,000 for like an experience for 1 day? That is like, you have to have like 50 million plus to even consider that, probably more. And I do not at all. Did you drink any bourbon Kentucky boy here as well? No, I don't drink at the moment. I got like big into a health kick and I was like optimizing my sleep and optimizing my like fitness and recovery and all that stuff for really the last like year and a half, but really intensely for the past like 8 months or so. And basically upon just even a slight bit of research, drinking alcohol is like the worst thing ever. I mean, it like torches your sleep. It ruins your recovery. So I just don't. I mean, I drank a little bit on the trip, just like I had like a glass of wine, like I think 2 nights. But yeah, I like pretty much, yeah. But the vibes are great. So so tough trade-off. Yeah, drinking owns, but it also like, it depends on what you're, if you're just looking to have good vibes and you don't care about like athletic performance or your sleep quality, fuck it, bro. But like currently I'm not drinking. What is it? Do you not even have beers with the boys after hockey in the changing room? Sometimes I do, but most of the times I don't. The reason why, so like one thing that alcohol does, if you do a lot of intense exercise every day, you're kind of limited in how much you can exercise because of the glycogen stores in your body getting like refilled. Like when you do something really cardiovascularly intensive and muscularly intensive, your body uses glycogen stores in your muscles for energy, and it takes time for that to refill. One thing alcohol does is it basically prevents that from happening. So drinking alcohol directly after working out instead of like getting carbs and protein in you is, if you're looking to skate the next morning, for example, it's like the worst thing you can do. But also for most people, you're like, who the fuck cares? I just want some beers with the boys. I respect the fuck out of that. But like, I just really want to play well tomorrow morning. So I don't. I respect it though. So like last week on Wednesday, so a week ago, my girlfriend started showing signs of being sick. So I was like, damn, I hope I don't get this when I come back. Cause I don't care about being sick now. This was last Wednesday. I just don't want to be sick when I come back to play hockey. So naturally I started showing symptoms like the day we were flying home. So I'm like, I have a little sickness. Honestly, it's not even that bad. It's like a little sniffly, not even a sore throat, not even fatigued, like just totally the most mundane sickness to say you have a sickness. But I combined that with food poisoning which I now know is the first time in my life. I have said I've had food poisoning before, and I am positive I have not because of how unbelievably shitty I felt on Sunday and Monday of this week. Oh my God. If you guys have actually had food poisoning, it is so, bro, your stomach hurts so bad. Your stomach is in fits for days. Like I couldn't even stand up straight. I was like basically hunched over. Also, it started happening to me on a 6-hour plane flight. Not the longest plane flight in the world, but having that feeling on a plane, that's just not an ideal plane situation. So yeah, that was bad. And then we got back and I wasn't really sure what it was because I haven't actually had food poisoning before, but I like went to an urgent care because I was like, hope I don't die, low key, don't want to die. And yeah, they confirmed. They were like, yeah, you just need like an antibiotic. So I got one of those and here I am 2 days later. I feel fucking great. I feel amazing. But yeah, because of that, I had to eat like the brat diet. Have you guys heard of that? It's like a really bland diet for when your stomach is really upset. It's I think it means bananas, rice, applesauce, and what's the tea? Toast? Is it toast? Something like that? I think it's toast. But like you're supposed to eat those things, which is like, it's supposed to be really easy on your stomach so you can actually consume food. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I am positive I have not eaten applesauce since I was like a baby or maybe elementary school, but I just haven't had it in like 20 years or 25 years. But I went and got some applesauce the other day. And for the first time, okay, I've only ever eaten applesauce with a spoon, like out of a cup. But now they make applesauce sometime in the last 25 years, probably for a while, with like it comes in like the little bag you can squeeze, like a Go-Gurt kind of, but for applesauce, Mott's or whatever it's called, the fucking squeeze shit. Yo, little slurp bag, yeah. Yo, that's legit. I'm adding applesauce. I met with a dietitian a while ago, and they actually were like, these are the things you want to eat like in between. If you have 2 games in a day, one in the morning, one at night, what can you use to like replenish your carbs? And they're like, dude, the best carbs you can have, simple carbs. Like applesauce is on like the very short list of things you should eat. And I was like, bro, I'm not eating applesauce. I'm not a fucking baby. But bro, I'm gonna add that shit into my diet now. I'm about to go grab one of those things right now. Those things were crazy. Applesauce goes hard. Who would have known? Unless you're like a girl or a baby. Grab a slurp gurp. Yep. That's it. So I think that pretty much sums up things from my end. Now, most of this stream is going to be from your all's end because as far as I can tell, a lot of things have been announced / have happened in WoW in the last 2 weeks. And I don't know about pretty much any of it. So going to be a lot of takes. Going to be taken, bro. I'm going to be throwing out takes left and right. I got a take for everybody and everything. But I think that's it for my trip. Oh, there was one thing. So I came back and I started skating again yesterday after I started feeling better. And, doorbell just rung. 1 second. I gotta go deal with that. I'm gonna grab a fucking slurp bag though. Oh yeah, so I was thinking that The last time I took 2 weeks off of hockey was the race. And when I went back to skate again, it took me like 30 to 40 minutes of edge work to actually feel like I could skate again. It just felt like I was like a baby giraffe. But this time, it was like I never stopped playing. It was so strange. Maybe it's because I was like doing a lot of like I was staying active on them. I don't know. Because you're not quite staying active during the race. You're like literally sitting still for 2 weeks. Max, did the dogs have a good time at doggy daycare while you were on your trip? Yeah, I mean, they always have a lot of fun, but Ella keeps having like an allergic reaction. I'm thinking I might need to find a different... She gets these little bumps on her, and she gets like some red spots, and then she ends up licking it, and then you have to like put a cone on her, put some ointment on it. And it always happens when I board her there. It's not like a sickness. I've taken her to the vet before. They just said it's allergies, but I wonder what's actually causing that. Yeah, they did good. Yeah, so dogs had a good time. Currently, I think this Saturday, she's moving she's been slowly moving stuff for like 3 weeks, but she's moving like the big stuff in, bed, couch, stuff like that. Which is why this couch is gone if you were not here at the beginning of the stream. Fuck, I still should have just not answered them. And there's just no couch here, and you should know that. One sec, gotta take a quick slurp of this applesauce. Bro, whoever invented this, fucking brilliant. All right, so World of Warcraft or gaming in general. What's going on? So I believe it was yesterday we got turbo boosted, right? Oh, also you guys got a... Oh, before WoW, someone actually asked a question in stream because I just don't want to tangent into this later. Bro, I did beat Expedition 33. I played that game for... Let's find out. How much time did I play? I did like all of the side content. 70 hours. Just an all-time great game. That is my... It's really hard to compare games like single-player RPGs like Expedition 33 to like live service MMOs like WoW. But in terms of what you could compare that game to, which is all other turn-based games or all other single-player RPGs, I guess, I think that is the most fun I've had in a game in a very, very long time. It was like, that game was Elden Ring fun for me. But I'm also prone to liking turn-based games, and in my opinion, that is the single best turn-based combat system of all time. I intentionally didn't look up any like guides until after the game, actually. Like after I was done playing it, I looked up like some other builds people because I was like, man, I'm really enjoying this game. I'm going to enjoy it a lot more if I try to figure out a way to make these characters OP rather than like look up ways to make them OP ahead of time. I don't look down on that at all. I do that in other games, but for this game specifically, I didn't try to do it. And I made my guys sick as fuck, and like one of my builds ended up being like really similar to what some other people did, which is basically just like machine gunning Verso and using follow-up. But yeah, so if you guys are just looking for a single-player RPG, whether you like turn-based games or not, you probably don't even need to hear this from me because like pretty much everyone is praising this game. But the game, it's just fucking, it's insane. It's so good. It's so good. The story's okay. I actually really liked the story early, but I don't think I can say this actually without really spoiling it, so I can't. How can I say this in a very basic way? They spent like 60, this isn't a spoiler. They spent like 60% of the game getting you to really care and believe in a thing just for the end of the game, which I understand why they did it. But you ended up not caring about anything that happened in the beginning of the game, which it seems like they really wanted you to. And that didn't make a lot of sense. But I actually did, like, okay, I did pay attention to the story in an RPG, single player RPG, for the first time in a very long time. Yeah, basically, basically the story, if you were to think of it like a TV show, basically it had like a banger season 1 and half of season 2, and then like the last half of season 2 was like, what? And that's the game. But that doesn't mean, like, that's also kind of true for like Westworld a little bit. Obviously it's true near the end of like Game of Thrones, not 2 seasons, but in like the totality of the show. But you would still tell people to watch the first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones. You would still tell people to watch season 1 of Westworld, right? So I still think it's worth it. It's just, you know, it just fell off real hard at the end. All good. Yep, so game owns. But you know what else game fucking owns? WoW. WoW owns. So let me try to see, what was the last thing I talked about when I was here? So I didn't even get to react to my own interview coming out. So, like, I don't think I've streamed since, like, the Dratnos and me interview with Ian came out about the future of add-ons in this game. I'm, like, pretty sure all the way back that far I have not given any reaction to any of those things. Since the one button rotation. I did tweet a little bit about it. So I think my thoughts have been somewhat heard, but I'm just pretty positive about it. Dorky face reveal went crazy. Dude, I don't even believe you, but if that happened, that would be so hype. I bet he looks like an absolute beast. Man, you should see the Asmon's generational crash out over the one button thing. Nah, I just don't care, man. Like, honestly, like, listening to him give takes about WoW is just, like, it's honestly depressing. Because you just know what kind of place it comes from. You know what's going to happen before. Like, if you know, like, for example, I knew about the one button thing because, obviously, I did a whole interview about it a month before they announced it. But, like, if someone was like, dude, can't you wait to hear Asmon's take on this? It's like, oh, God, no. You know? The Pope tweet went hard as fuck. Yeah, so that was a little departure from normal. I don't know why I decided to do that. I was just feeling wild one morning. But yeah, it made a lot of Catholics really mad. I don't really care because, like, I feel like you should be able to joke about whatever. And I don't feel like I was real bad. But yeah, I hit this is really late, but when the last Pope died near Easter, I thought he was trying to be super meta and hit a Jesus and be back by the end of the week. Right? Nice little tweet. And then people were getting real mad at it, so I doubled down. And I hit the no disrespect, shout out the papacy. I just thought he was going to hit a J real quick, rip though. I think I did this one a little too late. It was like way, way later, but I really liked the reply. Even if the one just set up the reply, I just should have done this earlier. But bro, you should read the comments on this. Some Catholics are like, bro, not funny. Someone hit a crazy tweet. They hit Team Liquid PR gonna have a field. This one, Team Liquid HR gonna have a field day with this one. Bro, this never even crossed their radar. No one cares. Anyways, I like this tweet. This tweet, I felt like I was tweeting at a high level on this day. Bro, I even got some bookmarks. Look at that. Bro, but could you imagine if he did that, though? That would be the most insane shit ever, probably since Big J did it. Do you ever talk to Liquid HR? Nah. So I saw the initial reaction, which I could expect. Like, Blizzard announces that they're basically building, what's the name of the add-on? Hakili in game, which I think we even mentioned the words Hakili like in the interview. And one second, I'm going to close this window because People are we're just fucking leaf blowing right now. All right. But I most times when there are basically accessibility features for people with disabilities or something that won't affect high-end players but is just there to make the game easier or more accessible for people who aren't as good or maybe don't care about being good, usually the high-end community, which is overwhelmingly supported on Twitter, right? Those people just get mad for basically no reason. So what I would say at the time and even now is if you play this game at a high level and you care about playing this game at a high level, the fact that this exists will literally never matter to you and you will never encounter anyone or anything or think about this ever again. But obviously, they were just freaking the fuck out on Twitter because I don't know, just a lot of different takes. I disagreed with most of them. Some had some merit. If you're mad about LFR existing, this isn't for you. Yeah, and a lot of those people are mad. Like, I've never heard a credible argument for, like, this game has too many difficulties, LFR shouldn't exist. I've never heard an argument about that was like, oh, that makes sense. It's just people, like, being gatekeeping, basically. Once I heard there was a GCD delay. Yeah, so, I mean, there's two parts of it, right? So there's just the Hakili part, which is just a part that shows on your screen that is there to show you like what you should press. And now I haven't seen this on the PTR. I don't know if it's like accurate. In fact, the few things in the game that Blizzard tries to suggest that you do, which is like they give you some like baseline talents. And as far as I can tell, a lot of those are like really bad. So I don't know if this is going to be made well. Typically things that Blizzard introduces into the game that are brand new, like all the way since Legion, they usually take a couple years to like really flesh out and be good. So I don't expect it to be great right away, but the fact that they're making it is still very good. But that is needed. Let's take away the one button thing right now entirely as a just separate issue. Just the Hakili part where it shows you in game, you don't need to download an add-on. And if you want, you can have some rotation assistance. That is huge. If you are mad about this, I am certain that you have not tried to show a new player how to play WoW in a long time. I've done this somewhat recently where my ex-girlfriend was trying to learn WoW and she was playing Frost Mage. And I told her to press Cold Snap and she opened her spell book and I realized that literally every button looked like it could be called Cold Snap. And there was like 30 of them. And I'm like, wow, I've never thought about that because I've played WoW forever. But you know what? That's really fucking confusing. And that totally makes sense. Also, a lot of WoW's rotations can be complex. I think it's really good in this game that there are some button or some specs that are not, right? Why we don't have homogenized difficulty in all of our specs is because we can, if you really want to play the game on easy mode, there's a few specs that are just objectively easy. And that's good for the game. They're also really well made and pretty fun to play at a high level too. Mainly like Ret Paladin and BM Hunter, I think. And I think that is good. But for a lot of the other specs, there's really a lot that can change. And if you're just starting from square one, it's really hard to understand. So without even using the one button thing, I think just as a learning tool, Hakili is just a great thing to use. And then there's the side of Hakili, which is, oh, well, like people are going to complain, oh, you're never going to get good if you use something like that. First of all, I think it's possible you could use something like that and then wean yourself off of it and basically use it to teach you what's good and then remove it once you know, right? A learning tool. And then there are people who use it forever. And then I think the biggest disconnect that I saw on Twitter that day before I left, that was basically the last day I paid attention to any WoW news. Because, I was pretty involved with it. I was in the interview with him. It's crazy. Okay, it's not surprising knowing Twitter. Like, there's not a lot of socially well-adjusted people on Twitter. Like, it is kind of a hellhole for people who like hellholes. And so I wasn't surprised to see this on Twitter, but the amount of people just simply not understanding that there are a ton of people that play WoW that are not only not good, but do not give a fuck about ever being good at the game. They don't care. They love the game, and being really good at it is not something they care about. That is by far the biggest disconnect. I feel like if more people understood that, there's no way that reaction would have been what it was. Although maybe it is because most times anything is announced, the reaction is just seen from a negative light because everyone's just like a jaded, been playing WoW for too long and they're not a kid anymore kind of thing. But yeah, that was the main thing. And then the one button rotation. So he answered a lot of questions about this. I think there is potential harm in that. And if it's like, basically, if you're a new player and you could do the learning Hakili thing, or you could just do the one button thing. The reality is most players, even with a whatever GCD penalty it is, I don't know if it was like a point whatever second or just a 25% longer. I think they actually recently changed it. I read a tweet today. But a lot of people, they're like, if you guys have ever seen a bad player before, if you were allowing them to just spam one button and it's actually the right rotation and they have a GCD penalty, they'll do way more damage than they were before. Like way more, because they're literally just backpedaling in circles and just pressing random buttons. We had a potty T recently where like someone was basically pressing Ice Lance as their only button in like a guild, and they were telling people what to do and stuff. Like these people exist all over the place, right? And I think during like using the one button rotation, you will, like, those people will maybe never go back to it because they're like, what the hell? Like, I'm doing, 5 times more damage by just pressing one button than actually trying to play the game. Maybe the game isn't as fun for me anymore because I'm doing that. But maybe those people are equaled out by people who are like, wait, I can actually contribute. I'm not very good at the game. I don't care about being good, but now I can actually feel like I'm not a burden by just pressing this one button or something like that, Replace Ice Lance with just the one button, except you just do more damage, basically. It would make a lot of people play better as well. But I do think it's just so easy to obtain. Like, if doing 75%, if these are made well, and I'm sure there's going to be varying quality of these from spec to spec, but if these are made well, most people who play the game are not going to be able to do 75% of what's capable of your class, and this basically will be able to do that. So it's kind of like, what's the point of trying to learn? And then like maybe the long-term effect of that is that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, people aren't very good because they've just, too many people use this thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm not quite sure about that, but I think the benefits outweigh. So basically I'm like really high on the Hakili thing, like really, really high on it. I think it's great. The one button rotation was an interesting addition to that. And basically like as far as you could go with that line of thinking. And I think it does have some positive benefits, certainly great for anyone with disabilities, and I think that might be like the primary reason for it. But yeah, I'm like a little mix on that one. I think overall good though. And I would say most of the people who are mad about it I would guess, are never going to be negatively interacted with this at all, and they're basically just like yelling at nothing. And then the one take I saw was like, with the one button rotation, we're going to have a lot of bad players now in higher level content. And I actually look at that the opposite way. So if you're looking at a player who's really struggling, they're not doing really well, they're not doing a lot of damage, they're dying to everything, I think the introduction of the one button thing can only potentially help that, because the reason they're dying to everything and not doing a lot of damage is clearly the combination of doing both of those things is overloading their brain. They can't do it. It's too hard. Now, if you just remove one of those things and you just spam one button that you're not even thinking about, any human on earth is going to be way better at the other thing, because you've just removed half or maybe more than half of the things you're thinking about. So if you ever run into those bad players, I would argue if they choose to use that tool, they will probably do better. And maybe you wouldn't even notice them, right? Outside of maybe their movement would be pretty obvious, I think. But I think they'll clearly do better, right? Yeah. Either way, there's that. And then I think the more interesting part of the interview, which is I think why they probably brought us there. I don't know how long the Wowcast ended up being. We ended up talking for like more than an hour. I'm sure they cut it down a little bit. But the reason they got Dratnos and I out there was to talk about the future of add-ons. Like the first 10 minutes of that was like, here are these two things we're introducing in 11.1.7. But here is what we're planning on doing. And basically they were like, we would like to have DBM in game. Like, hey, you don't need to download DBM. we'll have it available to you, and obviously it'll work and be correct when the patch comes out, because it has to be, because it's made by them, right? It's tied into their fights. There's no weird things that has to be updated for it. We want to remove weak auras that solve fights for you from the game. I don't know of a single person that that is like not a fan of that. I don't there's not a lot of people besides maybe the people who make them that are fans of having weak auras like assign you to everything, right? That sucks. So if they and they were very clear about trying to find a way to do that without removing add-ons for the majority of people who aren't in raids, and also not removing weak auras capabilities from just being your UI, basically, or being visual, or just changing the way you look at debuffs, right? If you can figure that out. Now, he said this was going to take a long time. We also had a lot of talk off camera about, like, one thing that I mentioned to them was like, hey, when you guys mentioned private auras, I had a meeting that day with smart add-on people telling me every single way they could break this. Oh, they're going to do this? We can just do this. Oh, they're going to make this not show up? We could use a macro. We could, there's people who are really, really fucking smart. So the one thing I told them was like, hey, if you're ever thinking about testing this, before you push it to PTR, before you push it live, hire these people as consultants. And I can tell you some of them who they are. I didn't do that, but like, if you guys need to know, I can tell you who. And before you end up pushing it live and I have to have that conversation of how we can break it, you guys should just tell them what you're doing. They will tell you how to break it and then fix that before you push it live, because that will save you a ton of time in troubleshooting, is to just consult all the really smart people about how they're going to break your rules and have them fix it before it comes out. So that was a huge W. Also, they mentioned damage meters, and I thought that was really interesting. They're like, we would like to have damage meters in games. Because I think just the entire concept of damage meters in MMOs, or really any live service game, or really any game, is like really fascinating. Because like some games intentionally don't have a damage meter, and I think they have a really good reason to do it. And I totally get the kind of environment they're trying to cultivate. Because like if you have one, there's just inevitably going to be like people who play the game only for those reasons, and they're kind of insufferable, like low key. They also can make the casual player feel anxious, which is the majority of your player base, and you don't want to do that, right, if you're a game. But also, I think that those people are going to show up anyway, and they're going to find a way to do that and exclude people. So like having that information readily available instead of having to download an add-on, like basically, why not put it in the game? Because everyone has it anyway. So like, what are we doing here? Like I think the main reason for doing this is lowering the amount of things on the checklist for a new or returning player to actually have to do to be able to log in and play the game. Like even the cooldown manager wasn't launched in a good state, but the idea of a cooldown manager, which is basically to do the like little add-on pack in the middle of your screen where you can see all your buttons and stuff without having to download an add-on to do that, is a very good thing, right? Yeah. Sorry, I'll read. I've been ranting a little bit. I'll read some chat. You guys have any thoughts? If only default Blizzard's UI aesthetic wasn't hideous. Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's a strong pattern of things being released from Blizzard. Basically everything. It's not even specific to like a genre of change, but almost everything they've released, if you were to just look at a snapshot of when it's released versus when it is 6 months or a year from then, it's just like a way better thing. So I go into most, maybe I'm an optimist, but I just go into most things being like, I just expect things to come out kind of shitty, but I also expect them to be good in like within an expansion. Did they talk about why they decided to start with the Hakili replacement? I'd have thought DBM and details would be way easier for them to make. Probably because of its importance, I guess. I mean, I actually didn't get to ask them that, so I'm kind of guessing here. This is not from them. Also, I don't think I can talk about anything that was said outside of the interview due to an NDA. I don't like NDAs. I don't really know how they work, but I mean, obviously I can talk about the fact that I was there for an interview because you all saw it, but I'm pretty sure any kind of conversations we had outside of that, I couldn't. But also, fucking NDA, you know what I mean? But also, not, but also no. Yeah, they didn't mention anything about that, but I imagine it's just important. So, okay, there's a few barriers when you're a new WoW player, but I think hitting max level and trying to understand how to like actually play this game and like play your character is probably the biggest or one of the biggest barriers, like correctly. And this directly addresses that if done well. And I think I would imagine that's why they went after it first. Maybe it's also the least complicated. It's something they have control over. Like for example, they stated that they wanted to get rid of in-fight weak auras, like the ones that solve fights for you. But I think they know that that's going to be really hard to do. At least it'll be really easy to do if they were to just nuke every add-on in like instances. But also, then maybe that's the end game if they can build enough of this stuff in game. But that would also be a terrible thing to do right away. So like, obviously they want to do it correctly, which is let you keep all the stuff that doesn't harm you in raids and only makes your game better if you choose to have it for you. It's like personal preference. And then just remove the stuff they think is that everyone thinks is really bad, which are those weak auras, right? But that's going to take a lot of time. So maybe this was just they wanted to start a conversation about these things, but also I'm really interested that they're willing to have that conversation. Really. This is very anti-old Blizzard. Like, they would never have done that. Like, they basically flew us down there just to say, like, they're willing to do a lot of stuff in the future that they're not doing yet. That's pretty rare. You were there? I thought they just put you in with the after effects. Bro, I'm not cardboard. Is class design inherently going to lead to too complex rotations? I think there's something there. Like, I think the weirdest thing in this game right now is like when buttons on their own don't do anything, but like when you hover their tooltip with the right add-on, it'll just show you that it has interactions with like 15 talents. Like Renewing Mist is one that comes to mind, where it's just like, I think that maybe is like a little complicated. But I actually disagree. I've heard a little bit of a take of like the fact that this is needed at all proves that WoW's rotations are too complex, and I heavily disagree with that. I think there's like a few potential solutions that you could do, and I have problems with all of them. Number one is you homogenize the game. You make the game have less buttons, and every single class becomes easier to play and easier to understand. I think this would be horrible. I think other games have done this. I think the fact that WoW has very playable classes, and as very easy classes, but also harder ones to master. The fact that Surrender to Madness can exist in a game and also BM Hunter can exist at the same time is perfectly fine because players have something to interact with if they want it. When you're talking about dumbing the game down versus just adding tools to help you learn, it's just a very simple thing, right? If you make classes really complex and really rewarding. So if they're made, let's assume everything is made well, making something really complex, which is very hard to learn, but becomes more fun to replay and more fun to master, you are servicing the existing player, or maybe the future player who really expects a lot from themselves, but you're mainly serving the existing player who's been playing. There's a lot of those, by the way, that play WoW. The easier you make classes, the more you are catering towards the newer player or the player that is not as good to be able to compete, or a newer player being able to learn and be able to do it at all reasonably before they quit, right? So they're two totally, you're serving totally different audiences by doing one or the other. So I'm biased because I'm a player that's been playing WoW for a long time. Them dumbing the game down would make all of the specs I play less fun, and that sounds awful. But for the new player, I could totally see it. I think WoW is mostly kept alive by returning players, actually. I think them making a push for new players getting the game is great. But I think Blizzard trying to make a decision like, oh, instead of doing this Hakili tool, let's just make everything easier. I think they're doing a disservice to the vast majority of their player base, which is not only a huge risk, it's probably just a bad idea. So they're doing a middle ground, which is we're going to keep some of the specs complex. If you want to play an easy spec, oh boy, do they exist. It's like I guess like I-Beam Havoc is maybe, I don't even know if Havoc fits into that category anymore, but there's like a few specs that are piss fucking easy if you want to play them. And then there's specs with a lot of ease and a lot of hard to them. And then there's specs that are like pretty fucking hard. And all those can exist in the same game. And it's good, right? Havoc isn't easy if you want to be optimal. Yeah, so like Havoc I struggle saying Havoc because Depends on what build you're playing. Like, to be honest with you, for the past, like, I mean, since Legion, like 8 years ago, if you were playing DH, the version where you just I-beam and there's no momentum whatsoever, it's purely you press I-beam on cooldown, meta on cooldown, don't cap your Fury, and like don't miss GCDs, and you're doing as much damage as you can possibly do, right? That and hit Blade Dance on cooldown. That version of DH is objectively easy. That is not hard at all. But there are versions of DH that I've played that were very hard. Like Inertia, Season 3 Dragonflight, Inertia, Havoc DH had a very high skill ceiling. You basically didn't lose to someone you were better than in that class, in a dungeon or a raid boss. You could just gap people. Like saying that spec was like really easy is wrong. So it kind of depends on what version you're playing. But I think for the majority of like casual players, if you say Havoc is easy, you're talking about that build and they're right. You know, I mean, I think that's why Rep Paladin is one of the most impressive things in World of Warcraft in general, because Red Paladin is an easy spec to play, but it also is really fun to play if you're good at the game. Like, it's not like you're like, oh man, this is boring. But like Ret has high level optimization and also is just made really well. It's just sick. Even though it's really easy, it's still really fun. Bro, it is hot in here. Oh, dude, I can plug in my fan now that my couch is gone. That'll solve it. Where's the large iPad Nano? Oh, it's actually like right here. I had to move it so they could move the couch easily. All right, let me see. I missed a lot of chat during that. As someone who is about to kill Mythic One-Armed Bandit this week, our group has officially hit the point in the patch where our Mythic raid gear dries up due to locking out. Wait, what? Our group has officially hit the point in the patch where our Mythic raid gear dries up due to locking out. Do you mean extending your lockout? Do you think removing the Mythic lockout would alleviate the need for bad luck protection systems like Dinars? It wouldn't remove the need. I mean, I don't think removing the Mythic lockout. I just think making the Mythic lockout like heroic has been something I've advocated for years. I just think it would be better in every way. There's also another thing I think would be really good, but I don't know how to accomplish it without it being abused. But if your raid guild has 21 or 22 people, you hate sitting on the bench, right? Or maybe you like it. But let's just say you're someone who wants to be in, but you're just the odd man out. Your class isn't good for that fight. You're the 5th healer, like whatever. Just anything. When you kill that boss, I think those players should get loot. That doesn't really make sense in like the way MMOs normally work. You have to like do something to get loot. But like in that specific situation, those people are taking a sacrifice by not being in. I think those people should just have this. No, they don't guaranteed get loot. They have the same chance of getting loot as everyone else. So I don't even know what that would be. But I don't know how you can make that without abusing. It's like, let's just say the people in groups 5 and 6 are eligible for loot, but then you would just sell those spots. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know how you could do this organically without it just being abused. But if they could ever figure that out, it would be really cool. I don't know. Maybe it's like if you've killed previous Mythic bosses. So like you make sure everyone in your guild gets a kill on the first 3. But then when you kill boss 5, like, or if you get a kill in that lockout early on, like you're eligible for loot later, less likely to be abused. Could still, I don't know. I'm cooking right now, and I'm not cooking something. I am cooking something good. I just have all the wrong ingredients at the moment. You know what I mean? I got the right idea. Just make everyone promise not to abuse. Yeah, that would work. I think that would certainly work. I feel like it compounds the issue of nobody getting something like House of Cards if you only ever get loot from prog kill because you have to keep extending. Yeah. I mean, there's also another thing that's really interesting about this patch. With MMO loot philosophy, you should be rewarded for doing something. If you do something more difficult, it should give you better loot. Right? I mean, that's not even MMOs. That's just like any game. That should be true. And in this raid with like trinkets and stuff, that's actually so true. Like the stuff from the early bosses, as opposed to like previous raids for sure, drops absolute shit. It's terrible. And the great gear is at the end of the raid, which is, in a way of thinking about it, like a game design aspect, that should be true. Right? Or there's an argument that that should be true, but it also is making people extra mad because it's also infinitely less obtainable. And there's like, you have to balance like how many people want the best loot versus are able to get the thing, right? And then there's raid loot being just better than Mythic Plus loot, which if you look at difficulty in the first like 2-3 weeks of the expansion, doing like the Mythic end boss, so like Ansarek, or I mean even, you know, Galliwix wasn't super hard, but even just getting past Muggsy, right? That's the hardest thing you can do in PvE WoW in the first 2 to 3 weeks. So the fact that it gives the best loot at that time is accurate. That is correct. But then at a certain point, raids only get easier and easier. You get better and better gear. And bosses get nerfed, nerfed, and nerfed. And then we get turbo boosted. And we get corruption, whatever, right? All of these happen. And then eventually doing the Mythic raid bosses, it's harder to argue that it's actually more difficult than doing like a Mythic Plus 17. Or at some point, the Mythic Plus scaling difficulty is more punishing than like a Mythic raid boss because they get easier and that sustains / gets harder. So like, do they only design the loot difficulty metric from like just the beginning of the season? You know, like I think like some, I mean, maybe dinars is their solution to that. But obviously the way it is right now, I actually don't know. How much did they cave on dinars? Do you still have to kill the Mythic bosses to get the loot from them? Yeah. 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 I mean, we talked about this. This I gave my take on before we left, so I don't have to redo that. But I mean, I understand why a game designer want to do that. In the same way with the Catalyst was clearly way too late before it got to the spot it was supposed to be. And now I think it's quite good. But like, this is the first time they're introducing dinars in a real season. I think they're terrified of giving you too much and it being, you just get all the best loot in the game for free, right? I don't think they want to do that. They want to have you work for it. But I think you should be able to work for a Mythic raid trinket from exclusively doing Mythic Plus because you are doing something challenging enough. You just have to find a way to prove it. I think in future seasons it'll get better, just like the Catalyst did. But I do get why they're super scared of just giving you everything at once. But I also don't really know that argument, but I can imagine a dev giving it really well and just being like, this is the sacred thing. Like, okay. I think my official stance on it, while I don't really remember, I'll just give it again. My official stance on it was, if people are still playing your game all the time 3 months into your patch, just fucking give them a Mythic raid trinket. You know? Like, all game design theory aside, it might really just be that simple. Not sure why they deviated from the Season 4 approach. Well, I'm not even going to read the rest of your message. The reason they deviated from any kind of Season 4 is because a regular season is nothing like a Season 4. The idea, the reason it exists, and the pacing of it is completely different. Max, did the gaming room get a full renovation? I guess you could call it that. If by renovation you mean a couch got moved out of here because a new one's coming in, then yeah. Max, talking about being benched, how do I as a benched player improve? Mythic Plus sadly doesn't really measure up to rating in terms of improving. I mean, it kind of does. I think Mythic Plus and rating are the exact same skill set. Different knowledge base. Like, you have to know different things. But, like, it's the same skill set. If you want to get better at WoW, you just play more of it. Mythic Plus or raid as much as you can. You know, who knows? That's as much time as you got. If you want to get better, spend it on playing PvE World of Warcraft. You'll get better. The number of Mythic Plusers that do Mythic Raid equivalent... that do the Mythic Raid equivalent of keys... Wait, I don't even understand what you're saying. The number of Mythic Plusers that do the Mythic Raid equivalent of keys. Oh, so like hard enough Mythic Plus to be Mythic Raid equivalent, I see. Which, by the way, I don't know exactly what that number is. Mostly because when you're talking about Mythic Raid, what is Mythic Raid difficulty? Right? Is it the first boss on Mythic? Most people probably say no. Is it a mid-tier boss? Is it the end boss? And then even if it's the end boss, is it end of tier cutting edge? Is it week 2 of the patch, like world first end boss, Ansurek? Like, there's no Mythic Plus that will ever be harder than that ever. It's not even close, right? But also so few people interact with that. So like what even is, like if you're saying Mythic Raid difficulty, what does that even mean? It's just too personal to like whatever someone's specific experience is. Right? Like, a lot of our players don't do a lot of live Mythic Plus. Maybe a reason for that is the version of Mythic Raid they do is way, way fucking harder than Mythic Plus, so it's more rewarding for them, like, as a player. But then, like, the lower you go down in guild rankings and how much you raid or how quickly you progress or whatever, you are going to get to the point where Mythic Plus is actually more, like, intellectually challenging because it's actually more difficult than the level of Mythic Raid you're doing, because at some point that is true. Seems like a lot of your raiders are doing a lot of Mythic Plus this season. That's a really good sign. But also in the few amount of Mythic Pluses that I did this season, which I think I did like 20 dungeons or so, that was a lot of fun. Like, I think they cooked for sure. They made a lot of good changes. It's supposed to be somewhere around 3k IO, I think. I mean, this is just... Okay, what level keys is 3k IO? 13s? I mean, bro, doing a 13, I don't know what Mythic boss you'd compare that to, but it's not very far in the raid. But even then, like, how do you compare to Mythic difficulty is just different things to different people. People who clear the raid in the first month, there is not a Mythic Plus key that is ever going to be harder than any of those end bosses they did. But at the end of Cutting Edge, even halfway through the season, that's not true. Like, you killing Mythic Muggsy, in general, like, what that requires from you personally as a player at a certain point in the season is actually going to not be very different than what a high key in Mythic Plus is actually going to require from you as a player. Because there's something to be said about, like, certain raid bosses being the difficulty is you're doing it with 20 players. That's not true with end bosses a lot of the times. Like, I mean, it's still true, but what is also true is that it is requiring a lot from each individual player to be able to kill any of those bosses. They're very hard. Like, the last 20% of Muggsy, that's fucking hard, man. I don't know at what point in the season that becomes the case, but certainly at some point. I'm not saying that's what it actually is. I'm saying that seems where Blizzard is defining it as with a 3k achievement in Mount, how they made the Mythic trinket take all 12s. Oh, interesting. I don't know if that's where Blizzard's necessarily defining it. That's just Blizzard trying to find the fine line of how many people they want to have access to this or how difficult they want it to be for you to get it. Also, I'm actually unsure of what dinars actually give you. I was there for the original announcement, but I was not there for the amendment of it. So what actually ended up happening? Is it actually exactly the OG announcement? You have to kill the Mythic boss and then you can buy the piece of gear from it. It's basically bad luck protection. Or what did they cave? Did they cave in any way? You can get Mythic Plus trinkets if you have all 12s. Oh, that's goated. I'm so happy they did that. That was my main complaint. I'll stand by that. I tweeted that they should do that before they even announced what dinars were going to do, and then I rage tweeted that it didn't include them. So I'm I don't even like do Mythic Plus specifically, but even as a raider, it's super fucking annoying that like you have a Abyss trinket for Mythic Plus and it is actually impossible to do content where you can guarantee obtain that item. It's dumb as fuck. So I'm really glad they did that. And all 12s I feel like is a realistic achievement because they do want you to have to work for it in some way. You should have to earn items in something. Clearly that's their thought, right? With the idea that you have to kill these mythic bosses. They want you to have to earn them in some way. I feel like doing 12s isn't a crazy requirement. I'm going to say 12s are not that hard. I understand that might offend some people, but I also feel like with a group of 5 people, like 12s are not very hard. Also, especially with the turbo boost. Max, stop trying to make this seem like you did this. We will still never forgive you for killing AMZ. Bro, why are you talking about old shit right now? Think about it. The way Dinars were in the past didn't have any problems. Why change the way they were? Because Dinars existed when there were 3 rotating raids. And you could be wanting like basically because you can't farm the same raid every week, I mean, you could argue it's 3 times harder, but like it's infinitely fucking harder to get a specific piece you want. So Dinars existed so you could get across that gap. It existed purely because of raid. Now, I'm not saying they couldn't put that in a patch and it be fair. I'm just telling you from like a Blizzard point of view. This isn't like their official stance, obviously, either. But I think it's pretty obvious that knowing them, like if they're going to put Dinars in the game, they're clearly going to be more restrictive than in a patch where it's a throwaway end of season patch. And also the original reason for them existing, which is purely we have rotating raids, so it's really hard to target a specific item. That's really good. If that problem that created the Dinar solution no longer exists, but people are like, we want Dinars. And what they basically mean by that is we want some way to acquire these pieces later in the season. Blizzard's like, all right, bet. Cool, we'll do it. Took years, but we're doing it, right? It's gonna be more restrictive than that. That's the answer of why. You have to understand like problem solution. Why was this ever created? It is their official stance. They explained this exact reasoning in a blue post. Yeah, and the reality is if enough people get mad about it, they will eventually cave. Like, I just want to keep pointing out, for like multiple seasons in a row, the Catalyst came out 8 weeks after the season dropped. If you're new to this game, I'm not even making that up. The Catalyst was unable to be interacted with in any way until 8 weeks went by. Real shit. You just didn't have your tier set for like a month. Max, I despise the fact that trinkets and weapons are so much more important than other slots. Do you think there should be vast differences in how much impact slots have one of your theoretical output, or could it be sacked to make not getting the big slots less annoying and frustrating? That's very interesting. So it totally depends on what you want out of the game. I'm someone who like just wants to play the game. Like think about JB, right? You guys know JB? So JB like wants the season to launch and you have a tournament realm vendor where you can buy all the best gear, and literally from minute 1 of the patch, you're just slamming high keys with preset gear and groups, and there's literally no gearing system. This, by the way, this is obviously the most extreme argument, but like there are some people who play the game that only care about gameplay and like fucking that's it, right? Then there's people who like care about the fact that it's an RPG. So I think trinkets and weapons being super powerful is fine for the game, but I also like for example, if you remember like back when WoW was really magical to you, you're like probably a kid, you're like a little younger, like you remember that feeling when you looted like the craziest weapon or like the craziest trinket and now you pop the fuck off? That feeling is something that Blizzard is really trying to evoke from you. That's the reason why gear in this game is different than like Final Fantasy, for example, where gear is like totally a means to an end. But they care about you feeling that way. If you've been playing WoW for a really long time and that feeling no longer matters to you, and now you're just stuck in this like, you're like hate playing the game basically, like this probably means nothing to you. But I think Blizzard wants those WoW moments, and I think the whole idea that like, oh well, every piece of gear should be an equal upgrade is like, they would probably argue is kind of boring. And it is cool that like there are certain pieces that like give you a little bit extra little bit extra pop, you know? It's a little something to look forward to. Like, Legion legendaries were really problematic, and I remember being really mad about it at the time. But like, if you were someone who looted your best Legion legendary in the first like 3 months of that expansion, which was really rare, you probably remember what day it was, exactly where you were when you looted it, and it was probably a like important part of that year for you, or maybe your WoW playing history, right? But just using this as an example, this doesn't directly tie to that, but you'll maybe get what I'm saying. But if they had a vendor at the beginning of the expansion, or if you just got to pick your best legendary, kind of like you did in Shadowlands, that feeling, that moment would have meant nothing to you. Now, some people don't care about that moment. Some people just want to be OP and have the best gear right away, and they just want to play the game, like JB, like I just gave you an example of. But Blizzard, as someone who's making their game, when they're designing what they want players to feel, they still really want you to feel like when you looted Warglaives, or when you looted something, when you got like that feeling of like, holy fucking shit, right? But it's really hard to do that in 2025 because everyone needs the best gear all the time. And, you know, you can't, to have something matter that much to you, it has to be really rare and really fucking powerful. I think weapons and trinkets are a small microcosm of that. They still want that, like, I got this fucking weapon, bro. And not everything needs to be like, oh, I looted some upgrade bracers. Like, those two things aren't the same. I looted a new weapon or I looted new bracers. The weapon is just better. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's fine. Does that make sense? I know I kind of went a lot of different places there, but I was trying to explain it from like a different point of view. You know, that just made me realize a fun piece of content / wouldn't actually be fun would be like, we always talk about like, oh dude, people remember where you were when you looted your best legendary early, but I want to know how much someone crashed out. Remember when you were capped at 4, so once you got your 4th legendary, you like knew you were kind of cooked for a while? Like, imagine like that feeling when your 4th legendary was fucking Pride as and the rest of them were all worse than that. And just like how much you just flip the fuck out in a bad way. Max, would you say that the way they gatekeep the game, they're kind of ruining the fun for people by limiting us consistently? I, for myself, would prefer Gear Crest not being capped and then letting us play the games we want. Yeah, there's a lot of people who feel that way. I mean, it depends on how you play the game, right? So think about the first week of a patch. So the season hasn't started yet, but it's that like week where you kind of like do the campaign, but like nothing else is going on. There's no mythic zeros or anything. I've heard a lot of people being like, dude, we should optimize this week. And those are all coming from people that like play this game like me. You know, they just like play this game for the content, like gameplay. And like this week is boring. But for a lot of people, they wouldn't, who do actually, and this is going to blow your mind, there's so many WoW players who play this game just to do the campaigns when they come out. Not even making that up. It's a huge amount of people. In fact, the other statistic that would maybe surprise you is the vast majority of Diablo 4 players quit after the campaign. Where like I look at Diablo 4 or something like PoE or something, and it's like when you get done with the campaign is like when you can start playing the game. But like for so many very casual gamers, it's like they just they buy the game for the campaign and then like they do that and they watch every cutscene and then they dip, right? So there's a lot of people like that in WoW. They would feel Blizzard doesn't want you to have to like think about doing the campaign versus like, oh, I need to start grinding Mythic Plus right away, which is why they don't release it all at once. So they're trying to balance the two things players want. Like basically in Borrowed Power expansions, they had the opposite of this. From the second this shit came out, you could just endlessly grind, and you probably loved that, right? From the way I read your message, you're probably someone that's like, yo, I need this shit. Like, I want to log in, and every time I log in, I can get more powerful, like fucking dopamine. Give me that shit now, right? But for a lot of people, they felt a ton of FOMO from that. This is basically the same argument. Like, why can't they just let us do this shit right away? Is because why before they even had crests, like Valor, like remember the season 4s where Valor was uncapped and you just grinded like crazy for a week and it was so fun and you just instantly got full power? that was great for people like you and for people like me. But for other people, they're like, I can't play the game this much, and now I'm permanently behind forever, and I'm quitting this patch, right? So they need to find a balance between those two types of players. And maybe this will be news to you, or maybe not. There are way more of the second player than there are of you and me. Like 10 times more, probably more than that. So that's the reason why stuff like that exists. Stuff that you see as gatekeeping, I don't know what you're talking about specifically, but almost all things that people like you and me talk about with gatekeeping exist for the sole purpose of making the majority of players not feel like they're permanently behind and want to quit. It's the same reason why there's skill-based matchmaking in games like Apex and Fortnite in non-ranked games, because the majority of casual players just queue up pub games non-ranked. And it turns out if you want to make the majority of your player base happy, you know what they don't want to have happen? People load into their lobbies and absolutely fucking slaughter them. It turns out when you're killing people and you're not being killed over and over again, the game's more fun for you, and your game being fun to those people funds your game, and they keep playing it, right? Like that's exactly why that kind of stuff happens. It's the same thing, but in WoW. Mythic Plus and Raid are both PvE content. They tend to make raid gear better, so players that can do both will be better. I mean, players that do Mythic Plus will also be better in raid. Same thing, but yeah. I am a firefighter. Ooh, shout out fire. And work nights that change. Therefore, I can't make raid nights. Yeah, there's a lot of people. The biggest issue with raid is that it intentionally requires a schedule and people communicating in voice, and it requires a lot of people. But that's very intentional, right? So like, it is, you are fucked if you have like a rotating schedule and can't make that, basically, which sucks. Which is why Mythic Plus is great for the game, because you can kind of just play whenever you want. So I do. Then of course after that you say, so I do Mythic Plus, but I can never get to the top gear in game compared to other Mythic Plus players that can raid, which is why I was not happy with Dinar. Oh, I totally get it, and I'm on your side. My main take with Dinar was, if someone is still logging in and playing your game and like pushing Mythic Plus 3 months into your season, give them whatever the fuck they want. Right? There's something to be said about the carrot on the stick needing to be there, and maybe people feeling like when that carrot's completely gone, they just stop. But turbo boosting kind of solves that. They're not going to instantly stop once they get specifically those trinkets. The reality is, like, for a lot of people like you cannot actually get those pieces from raid because you don't have the schedule to raid. Yeah, I totally get it. What was the other thing? So I want to be competitive with players to do the same content. Yeah. Max, do you think that people are let's say past 3400 IO are comparable to Mythic Raiders in skill? That's kind of the wrong way to look at that. I don't know. There's probably people who are 3400, because like, what is Mythic Raiders? So if I'm being correct, a Mythic Raider is someone who kills any Mythic boss all the way to Raiders in Echo and Limit, right? Or Liquid. Is that the... Because like that's a completely obscene difference, right? So I think it's really hard to answer your question, because it's really hard to define what does Mythic Raider mean. Who are we talking about? We need to like centralize on a specific like kind of player, you know? Anyone that can get 3400 is good enough to be in a general cutting edge guild for sure. Yeah. I'm just top of my head. I haven't played with a ton of those dudes, but I would be inclined to agree with that for sure. I don't even know, probably even less than that. Like, there are people who get cutting edge that get carried that probably couldn't get anywhere close to that, right? But if you're just someone who is a sufficient player in a cutting edge guild. Speaking of cutting edge, totally random, is this going to be the easiest cutting edge of all time? I feel like I say that every season when bosses get nerfed, but I feel like the turbo boost plus the fact that the end boss was like built easy from the beginning and Dinars makes me feel like the bosses are going to get like super smoked. not Emerald Nightmare. I really feel like every time people bring up Emerald Nightmare, are you guys intentionally making a bad faith argument? Like, first of all, I don't even know if cutting edge was even a thing back then. Like, that was just something, maybe that's what it was called back then. But also, like, I feel like comparing any normal raid to a Mist of Pandaria, Warlords of Draenor, or Legion intro raid is just a crazy thing to do unless you don't actually know the difference between those two things. Like those, like Emerald Nightmare, for example, High Maul and Mogushan Vaults were intentionally very easy raids. That was the point of them. So like comparing those ever in an argument is like, I feel like you either don't know that or you're intentionally making a bad argument. All good though. Maybe you don't know. What happened to his room? Blew up. Galley dead, sub 100 pulls for the majority of guilds. Okay, for you guys who have killed Galley, this is what my guess was back when we killed it, was that most guilds were actually going to have a lot of fun. Like, as fun as really most end bosses are, getting all the way through P1 through the end of the first intermission. Like, up until that point, it's like a pretty legit fun progression thing, and then the boss just stops doing mechanics and you kill it. Like, I feel like up until that point, they definitely got it. They got it right. Like, P1 of that boss feels really good. Max, for people wanting to drop $100 to $200 off some sweet liquid merch, where would we do that, and what are some of your recommendations? All right, well, I can't like pull up the whole site because then my chat's gonna be like paid chat or whatever, but it's obviously tl.gg and you should get the new stuff. Wait, I just got sent the world first shit. They just sent it to my house, dude. The like we got world first version. Dude, my room looks so empty. I look like I'm in what the fuck is going on in my room right now? I got this thing. I don't even know. World first, Liberation of Undermine, Team Liquid, and then on the back it has the first boss. So it's not super epic. It has the first boss, right? But the aesthetic of Vexy the Gear Grinder goes absolutely stupid. Okay. And then the same thing on a hoodie, and then there's a derp shirt. You know what I mean? Max lives the meme of guys just having a TV and lawn chair in a room and moving in. Guys, a couch is going to be here in like 3 days. It's just today. This is not a thing. It actually, the couch got moved out. If I streamed this morning instead of like after that, it would have already been here. Progging Muggsy since last night, and it's really putting into perspective how crazy world first guilds are to kill these bosses at 15 less eye level and twice as hard tuning. Like, what the fuck? Dude, W Glaze. I appreciate that. Saying a couch will be here in 3 days is also part of the character. Where are the pups? They're in the other room. They're chilling. Dude, I had my backyard remodeled. Because the dogs like ran a dirt path through the yard because they're dogs. And so when it rained and when the sprinklers went off, it was like muddy as hell. So I had like some rocks and some uneven concrete pavers on one side where they like ran the dirt path. And then I had new sod put in of specifically St. Augustine grass, which is supposed to be the most resistant to like wear and tear from dogs. And so far it's going really good. It looks great right now. Max, did you watch any NBA games? I haven't been watching the playoffs, but I've been following it. And then, okay, is there any other WoW stuff? So we talked about... Okay, I guess we haven't really talked about turbo boosting yet. But we talked about dinars. We talked about the one button rotation. Talked about the Hakili and the future of all other add-ons. St. Augustine Grass's Garbo looks bad. Okay. All right. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. Did you see Aug is back? I heard that. I heard people are starting to play Aug and Hikeys. Let's see how widespread it is. Timed run leaderboards. It's nowhere. There's not one even on the front page. Oh, there's one on the second page. And one on the third, couple on the third page. I wouldn't say it's back, but maybe it's on its way. Oh yeah, let's talk about turbo boost, man. Max, do you think the turbo boost has the same effect as a push week? All my friends are gaming. I mean, one of the most famous carrot on a stick, why do you log in and play WoW every day? Is it for the gameplay? Sure, but yeah, it also helps when you're logging in for the combo of the gameplay plus I'm making my guy stronger. My guy's getting huge, right? So turbo boost is like, it's a mad dash to like play the shit out. All the grinders. If your friends are grinders, dude, the turbo boost is sick. Yeah, so I think it's not surprising that's the case. It's like when they release Season 4 and there's uncapped Valor. It's like the same vibe. You just have all these crests and the ability to make your gear better. It's going to make Valor Stones feel like fucking shit, though. I can tell you that. Unless you were preparing for it. Reminder that they need to remove Valor Stones. Yeah, no, I've never moved from that stance. Think Valor Stones are bad. All good, though. I can tell you why I'm a fan of turbo boosts. Can anyone actually guess? If you guys were to guess why I specifically am a fan of turbo boosting, it's so insanely biased and like only something that would matter to me. Cool name? No, that's a good guess though. Sell runs? Nope, don't care about that. Raid sales literally never crossed my mind all year. Unless you type it. Carries, no. Stronger guys next patch. Close. Close. Make sales easier. No, I don't care. More sales for dinars. Never think about dinars. Free stuff makes farm easier. All those things are true, but I don't care. Less splits. No, so close. Oh, so close. Having another tune to play more splits. No. Easier splits. Yep. Someone fucking got it. Let's go. Guys, especially NA being the first people to go on the raid, dude, having to come up with like Bubba having to come up with like 5 different split plans based on exactly how geared our helpers are and also exactly how hard the raid is so fucking... Guys, Bubba, don't tell him this. Bubba is not living past 60 years old. He has lost so many years of his life trying to figure this shit out. And we just have no fucking clue. Meanwhile, fucking EU's just knows what to do when they log in. W. But we have on day one when pugs are not very geared because we're 39 eye levels below the next or we're 39 eye levels below like the new season when we go in. The splits day one are impossibly hard. But now we're going to be turbo boosted. So everyone's eye level of not only our characters, but of all of our helpers is going to be however many eye levels higher you are from the turbo boost. To be honest with you, I don't even know how many eye levels that is. I'm just going to guess 14. Am I wrong? I'm wrong. How many eye levels is it? Even if it's like 8, it'd be fucking amazing. 8 eye levels is a significant amount of power. It's 6, fuck. Anyways, still way better. Like, because, okay, so here's the difference. Day 1 of the season, when we're doing splits on that very first day in Heroic, the eye level from our helpers is usually about 6 to 10 higher on day 2 because people have had more time to like do delves and stuff like that and craft. Day 1 is so hard, dude. Even like a 6 eye level bump is just, it's going to make our lives so much easier. That's why I care about it. Totally selfish, purely biased for what we do opinion. What if they just tune the raid for that? That's possible, but I think when they're tuning Heroic and Normal, they're not thinking about people like you and me. They're thinking about like the person coming in and doing Heroic that basically only does Heroic, and I don't think turbo boosting will affect those people at all because it's expected that you're going to get Delve gear anyway, so I doubt it. Like, I don't think they intentionally make Heroic splits with helpers. I don't think that line of thinking enters their mind ever, and I think they expect people to get the new season gear to do Heroic anyway for the people they design Heroic for, and that turbo boosting doesn't change that at all. Won't they raise next season's eye level to compensate? We don't know that, but I don't think so. Max, wouldn't you prefer no turbo boost, though, for the mental health of your raiders? It now means your raiders are going to have to grind for ages to gear ults, and then they could have been having a break from WoW. Actually, I had kind of the opposite impression from them today. I was driving to hockey, so I just like entered. There was like a group doing keys in Discord, a few people in there, Shine, Impec, and I was like asking, you know, like what it's like how close do you guys feel like you are to getting your guys geared? And they were like, this is the easiest season in a while. Like Dinars basically are removing a ton of runs we would have to do because you no longer have to, every single alt can like just get the pieces they want. So that removes a ton of shit we have to do. And it's mainly just about getting crests on all of them, which is, they've had the like crest reduction achievement on all their mains for quite a while. So they're like just basically way more ahead than they are in a normal season. What am I reading right now? Augustine grass is named after St. Augustine, the patron saint of yard work. Okay, that has to be made up. The grass was named after St. Augustine as it shares the steadfastness in the face of people not staying off its fucking lawn. Bro, what are you talking about? Are you just saying shit? Jesus, man. Nice chat, though. That was a W chat. Max, do you think turbo boosting comes back after this season? I think so. Probably with... like if I'm thinking of the only concern I have with turbo boosting is, doesn't it kind of completely invalidate pushing Mythic Plus keys before turbo boosting comes out? Because like every single one of those keys is going to get retimed. That's also not how Mythic Plus works. Like I feel like most of the people who are Mythic Plusing like to play WoW, and they're not pushing just for the score. They also really enjoy playing the game. Score can be what motivates them, but it's not the primary reason why they're logging in. You would not push score if like you didn't like playing WoW, right? Like Mythic Plus is endlessly being able to play WoW. You have to enjoy it. You would still do that for the first 2 months because it's not always just about the end of your season score. That being said, though, I don't see a reason why they shouldn't have 2 cutoffs within a season. Like, have a like title cutoff halfway through the season, like when this turbo boost shit drops, and then do another one at the end. Not even specifically for turbo boost. I just felt like they should have done that for a while. It just feels really weird that your ranking like only matters 6 months after the season starts. It just something about that just doesn't sit with me. I'm sure there's a reason. I don't know. If you don't push early, you won't get invited late. Yeah, I'm aware of that, yeah. Not only will you not get invited, but, like, you kind of just need it. Mythic Plus is all about doing it all the time. So, like, you meet people and you know people and you just, like, get into groups and people, like, having those connections are huge. Basically, my take is I don't think
anyone pushes Mythic Plus specifically to get that title, I think that is a secondary motivation behind just wanting to play the game. Because the reality is, if you don't actually want to play the game, like you don't have that much fun when you're doing it, the reality of you playing enough to actually push for title just sounds like a completely psychotic thing to do. You have to fucking love playing WoW, which, by the way, WoW PvE fucking owns. It's insanely fun, so makes sense. But like, I always think that's secondary. It's almost like a reward for doing it. Like, bro, I don't really like playing PvE WoW very much, but I'm going to do keys for 6 months to get this title. Like, that is like, bro, what do you have going on in your life right now? It is not good. Did he talk about Legion Remix? I just woke up. Oh, no. We haven't talked about that at all. I mean, we assumed a while ago that they were going to do that. They did a mop remix, which was, I think, not implemented super well. Not uncommon for new things they're trying when they're cooking shit up, but great that they tried it. And I think a lot of people just, even though it was like really rocky and it had a lot of like nerfs and under and over tunings and just weird shit like that, most people who interacted with it that, you know, don't just hate everything are like, this was great. This was really cool. I'm glad it's so much better that this existed and didn't exist as an alternative, you know. But as most things Blizzard does, it's going to be better the next time they do it. And Legion was another thing that people really, really like. So I think it'll be fun. I'm surprised / not really surprised that they skipped WoD in the whole remix thing, but you know, whatever. But I think maybe another reason they want to do Legion is like, clearly Mythic Plus was going to be a part of it. And that's something they couldn't really do in WoD. I guess they could. They could like retro Mythic Plus it. Maybe that'd take a lot more work. Had its problems, but was also a complete banger. Yeah. Unpopular opinion, I think WoD Remix would go hard with the raids. Yeah, I mean, it could have been fine. It's not surprising they did Legion. I don't know any of the information about it. So did they announce Legion Remix? Okay, here it was. 5 days ago, Legion Remix officially announced. But do we know like all the info or do we know like some info? New remix features. Mythic Plus and the Shattered Timeline. Wouldn't it be cool if you could do Mythic Keystones with the wild item scaling of Remix and see how far you can go? They think it will be really fun for players to find new ways to completely break that system, so Mythic Plus will be fully available. I mean, okay, now thinking about it, bro, you got so OP with mop remix items. I wonder if they're going to just overall tone that shit down, or else Mythic Plus is going to be a legit meme. Like, you'll be able to do like a 100. Like, I mean, there was... I'm pretty sure early on in Mop Remix, and maybe they're going to try to avoid this, I'm pretty sure you were invulnerable. Like, you basically couldn't take damage. You had so many absorbs on you, at least in a raid environment, and you did basically infinite damage. But it sounds like they're like, yeah, that would be cool. Let's see how high you can go. So maybe people will legit be doing 50s. That would be sick. Like, what level do you go where you finally get one shot? And then now you get one shot and you're no longer invulnerable. You need to find a new way to be invulnerable. Yeah, fuck it. I like it. Did Blizzard say that, or is it a Wowhead editorial? I don't know. I don't really care enough to look it up either. For those players who find more enjoyment in the open world, the team is excited to do a new experiment in Remix's more closed system. What does that mean? Introducing a new increased difficulty world tier inspired by Diablo called the Shattered Timeline, where everything went worse. It will challenge open world players in new and exciting ways. That sounds like something where players like you and me, this isn't designed for and won't really care for or matter. And it has a chance to, but most likely you would just be smart to not get your hopes up for this being really cool for you. But I think for other people it'd be cool. I'm just trying to, like doing world quests is like harder, I guess, if the rewards are better. I mean, they've definitely never done this in WoW, so it's something to be interested in to try. I mean, actually, is this kind of, are they kind of cooking a little bit? Because like you hit max level, and like when you're first max level in an expansion, like the open world is like super dangerous, and then like eventually it's just all the mobs instantly die, like even like before one entire season's over, and then they never really scale with you. Is there a world where that makes sense? I mean, I think so, because isn't like some of the reason people like classic is like you have to like 1v1 some mob in some random zone and you can't just like AoE pull everything and kill stuff. Like the open world can kill you. There's other major reasons people enjoy classic, but I think that's a major one. That feeling is like a completely different one than retail, the leveling experience and like open world experience. So like there's some merit to say that like the world out there being way harder could be cool. I just think the rewards would have to come with it most likely. I don't know. That'd be interesting. It certainly would be something where you could maybe tie a version of that into retail if it ends up working. Max, thoughts on Legion Remix with all new classes from that class survey they sent out a while back? I have no idea what you're talking about right now. Max, they are also making a new game like Plunderstorm, but all they did was show a picture of Duskwood. People thinking it's a horror game. Didn't something get released recently, though? I thought I saw a post about it. Maybe I'm wrong. Max clicks left echo. Is he joining Liquid? Nah. I mean, I hope with the success of Plunderstorm, they are more open to just cooking and trying new shit like that. I think that's great. Why not? Okay, I'm not positive if anything has been announced. So I'm not going to say anything. They did literally say it was going to be horror and spooky. What's the coolest thing they could do? Have you guys seen that game? I mean, you guys are just saying they should just do a bunch of other games in WoW. Like everyone said Vampire Survivors for a while. Which Vampire Survivors, what a great game. Dude, I actually kind of want to play that again. The only problem with Vampire Survivors, and I wonder if has any Vampire Survivors game actually figured this out, where the game's insanely fun when you're first playing it, but then eventually you just do the same build every time because there's stuff that's just really good and better than everything else, and then it just becomes repetitive and you stop playing it. Has a Vampire Survivors-esque game ever figured that out specifically? Dude, they have added so much shit in that game. Like, they have infinite new items and characters. Like, they added the entire Castlevania roster. Yeah, but the thing is, if I play it again, I'm just going to learn what the new shit is. I'm going to farm it every game. And then, you know what I'm saying? Like, I need someone to figure out that. Not to say that if I couldn't play it for a short amount of time and really enjoy it, though. It's kind of the same with ARPGs. Once you've played the good builds, you log out until next update in season. Yeah, maybe it's just that. Also, Elden Ring Night Rain hype soon. Do we still know more about what the fuck that game is? Like, it's some kind of like battle royale co-op thing with like Elden Ring bosses. There's been more videos and playtests. Like, okay, here's my I think people are maybe setting themselves up to be let down a little bit. Like when FromSoft comes out with a new game, hype level extreme, right? But it seems like this isn't like a full force like release. This isn't Elden Ring 2. This is like they're totally trying some random shit. And it might not hit at the same level, but people seem to be hyped like it's like Elden Ring 2. So I could foresee maybe people getting really upset, even though they have a lot of equity in my mind for being great. So I'm sure it'll be good. But co-op roguelike. Well, I kind of fuck with that. This video explains it very well because people are confused what it is. Okay, first of all, the video didn't actually link because you can't post links in my chat. But also, I'm just not going to watch that right now. Keep it a buck. I'm chilling. I played it during one of the playtests and it was a lot of fun. The bosses they put in were really good. It's just a co-op roguelike. Oh, fuck yeah. Recent news. Marksmanship Hunter mid-expansion retrospective. Hero talents, current issues, and wish list. Oh, this is by Azertharian. Bro, I imagine this guy can yap. I wonder how much he yapped. Oh, this isn't. This is just on one spec, though. It's good, dude. Hey. I respect it. I respect someone having this much passion for one thing and then continuing to have it. For me, like, my passion for one thing goes so crazy and then I just get bored of it. There are 8 predetermined classes. You go in as level 1 and find shit, get strong, hit bosses, and win. Yeah, that sounds really good. Is it like replayable, though? Do you have one playthrough, then you stop playing the game forever? Or do you keep trying as different classes? Are the runs only a couple hours? You know what I'm saying? If you die, is it fucking over? Restart? All right. How long have I been streaming? Dude, 2 hours on the dot. That's got to be good enough. All right. That's going to be it for me today, boys. But first day back. Also, I had food poisoning the other day, which fucking sucks. I'm still kind of recovering from that a little bit. I am going to stream more this week, and I'm also making some content. So I think I'm going to talk with Roger about the race one day. And then I have a really cool content idea. We're currently, I can kind of announce it because I'm gonna need you guys. I'm gonna need some help from you guys. Frank is currently setting it up in the, I think it's in the Potty C Discord. But the idea is going to be like reviewing guild applications from a bunch of different guild levels. So, like, there's me, GM of World First Guild. There is going to be like maybe a GM from like World Top 20, but then like 200, 500, 1,000, 2,000. And we're going to have either people put in like a, you know, have people fill out applications legit like they would for a guild to use as an example, or take real ones and actually just talk about what filling out those looks like. I think it sounds really cool, but it's going to require, I need to find those people, which we're committed to doing, and also get the application. So. And I think it'll be fun, interesting, nonetheless. So I think both of those are going to be this week. So got some real content to save Frank's job. Got to make Frank money. Amen. All right. Anyways, GG's.